Yo, what is up, guys? This is Mr. T coming at you live from NYC. Welcome back to Convos, our podcast over here at TimTalks, and welcome back to another episode. So, how have you guys been out there? I hope you guys have been doing awesome. As for me, I'm keeping it real, keeping it fresh, still getting the truth out there. And again, thank you guys so much for your support through the rest of the weeks that we've been here live on Convos. And it just means so much to me that you guys are over here tuning in and wanting to hear the truth. And like I said before, if you guys had any questions, comments, concerns, you guys got something for me, to drop them down in the comments, always to PM me. And it seems as though you guys have been doing that just because, what I got over here are some of the comments that people have been leaving for me over here. I feel as though each of them is going to have their own episode just because, some of them are pretty big. But some of these comments over here are pretty, like I said, pretty straightforward. But again, there's just a lot to take in just by reading all of this. And, sometimes for me, when I'm looking at all of these things, it makes me feel kind of sad, just because, I'm reading about these people's situations. And, I just feel bad because, they had the courage to even want to speak up and stand out in front of the crowd and say, this is happening to me and I need help. What am I going to do with that? And it just sometimes it hurts me, but also I'm just kind of glad just because the truth is getting out there. And any bits and pieces of advice that I can give you guys, I really hope to do that. So again, pardon me if I'm going to sound a little bit serious for this episode, but just because this person really brought up what I think should be told about what with it ending and all. So with everything being said, I'm gonna go into this comment. And so what he put over here, again, all comments are anonymous. Most of them are PM'd. I don't see much in the comments, maybe because some people find it just a little bit serious. And I totally get that. When you're telling me your situations and all that, like I said before, it's a mental health podcast. And I feel for you all out there. So this one here is pretty much about the pandemic, which again our episode's gonna focus on that. You guys feel this is a little bit sensitive, that's okay. Just skip to the parts that you feel that you want to hear. These bits and pieces of advice, because today's just gonna be a little bit more real, you know what I mean? A little bit more serious, but let's see if we can lighten the mood, all right? So what he said here was, what up, Mr. T? I just want to ask about your thoughts on the pandemic. How did it make you feel? Because for me, I ain't doing so well since it started. My mind just doesn't feel up to it. You got any tips? So this is what the person left for me. Again, all everyone who comments or whoever posts me, I'm gonna keep them anonymous. Just because I can actually see their name, but I don't want to actually tell it out there for you guys. Just because I value their privacy just as much as I value all your privacy out there. And when again do you ever really use your real name for something out there on social media, right? Apart from Facebook and all that stuff. But hey, what he said was, like I said, it hit me in the feels, it hit me in the heart. And I feel as though every one of us can actually relate to this. Just because, just think about it real quick. So, when this first started, when the pandemic first started, things were going to hell, things were going to shiz and all that stuff. People were buying toilet paper, people were buying hand sanitizer, alcohol. Some people were stocking up on baby wipes even. And things got pretty hectic. I've seen all those videos on um Instagram, and I've seen them on Facebook. And then when TikTok was first getting started, that's when I saw it over there. And then when I was looking at that, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And like I said, coming from Saipan, an island, like I said, in the middle of nowhere, many people not even over here in the Big Apple where diversity, all of that is being promoted. They didn't know us. And so when I was watching the news, CNN, tune into all those channels and all that stuff, and just seeing all this happening, it just felt so weird, to actually see it go down. And I said, this is a pandemic. It's not just normal, like, oh, common cold and all that stuff. No, this is actually something really serious. So when my family and I first saw that, we were wondering, we were like preparing. We didn't get crazy. We didn't get to stuck up on like 20 rolls of toilet paper or something like that, and like I said, I'm not judging you guys out there if you did that. Like I said, when we first started, it was hell on earth. We were all panicking and all that stuff happened, and it is what it is. But just seeing everyone go to shiz just to get those last bits of essentials, and then lockdown happened. I still remember that date, March 15, I think, March 15, March 16 for some nations out there. But it actually went to through that. So all that happened, and the world literally had to shut down just because of it. I'm not saying just because like it wasn't important, but really when it happened, we didn't know what to do. And I do feel that when he said, this person here, he said my mind just doesn't feel up to it. 2020, that year was awful. Like, literally made me pissed off just looking at what was happening. I remember there was a lot of disasters alongside the pandemic. I think that's the year Kobe Bryant died. I think. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. If anything, correct me if I'm wrong out there. And all I just know is that year was literally the worst year you could ever really think of when it comes down to, if you want to think of a year where all things went to hell on earth, it's literally got to be 2020. And like I said, you can totally diss me if you feel that that's wrong, but I just know that 2020 was not the year for all of us, right? And so we were cooped up in our homes. Many of us didn't go out. Many of us who were socializing out there, and again, that's your own personal life. It don't matter. I don't want to intrude, but some people really had to step down and all that stuff, just having to stay in their homes and just trying to find some ways of getting through the days, because we can't interact. We can't see each other, look at each other, talk to each other, let alone even be within the same area. They were promoting 6 feet apart. And like I said, you guys have your own personal opinions about the measures that we got over here with the pandemic and all that stuff. That's totally fine, but you gotta admit that time we really did not know what to believe at that point, right? All we just know is that it's a disease, COVID was real and all that stuff, and then we had to keep away, right? So I still remember when March 15 hit, and then once we had bought everything, we bought everything just a week before that date, and then it shut down. Everything shut down, and my friends and I, we were chatting on Messenger, WhatsApp, any social media we can find, and we are like, "How are you guys doing over there? How are you guys doing at your house? How are you guys doing over there in whatever country?" Because it affected the whole world. I'm pretty sure there's not one country that really was spared. Those kind of things. I don't want to sound too dramatic and all that stuff, but I feel as though when this pandemic hit, it hit hard, and um we were all there um alongside it happening around the world, right? It was global. And as the days rolled by, we were just kind of wondering, when is this going to end? I remember some people even thinking it was going to end in 2 weeks. Hell no, it lasted 2 years, and I think we're going into our third year. And not really like going into the third year, but just more of like when everything happened. And then once we had the vaccine rolling out, again, not gonna criticize your opinion about that, but then you gotta admit people started going out more often when that happened. And so once that started going around, vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, all those wonderful brands, again, you gotta admit science really helped. And you gotta admit that it really did help us get through the worst of the worst. People started um going back out. you know I saw less of the death counter again. Um it was so messed up just looking at the death counter. Sometimes the pandemic alerts, and to see it on like a clock. I remember seeing the survey like, this many people got ill, this many people recovered, this many people died, those kind of things. It was really morbid. And just seeing all of that was, like I said, it hit me in the heart. I can be a very sensitive person. Some of you guys might know that, some of you guys might not know that, but I can be very sensitive with what was happening in the world. And yeah, it really hit me hard, especially as the days, the weeks, the months rolled by. And then, like I said, back to what I was saying about the vaccines. Once those rolled around, people started getting to see each other again. It was very heartwarming. People especially for example, if you have like someone who's like elderly, someone who's sick and in the hospital, now we can actually see each other. But we gotta praise also the tools. Again, shout out to things like Messenger, WhatsApp, Skype, Zoom. Those tools kept us all together, and we still got through it, right? Pandemics before lasted like 4 years. This one lasted around two and a half. And you can kind of see the difference, right? So it really helped. Also, guys, I got Diet Coke over here in the studio, just so I can be able to talk more. But anyway, um, now let me move forward to when this pandemic is about to end. So if you guys don't know, in the United States at least, so they're gonna officially declare an end to the COVID-19 emergency around May. At least that's what they're opting for. That's the date that they're rolling with, and you know, so for the best, that's a good decision, because I know people are kind of tired with all the measures and whatnot, and once that date rolls around again, guys, just be careful out there with what's happening. Don't think we're just out of it yet. We got to be very careful. This thing is real and it does hurt. um I remember seeing some of my close friends having it, and it really sucked, just because um they had to be quarantined, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't um sometimes you think it doesn't make sense, just having to isolate, but that really hurts. And so back to whoever sent this comment, again, thank you so much for sending this out to me, letting me read it. And like I said, I feel for you. And then I know you said that you don't feel up to it, and what could I possibly tell you that could help you, right? So first off, I just want to say you're alive. If any of you guys feel that you're not up to it with the pandemic and all that stuff, now that we're at the end, you gotta kind of think that you're alive. That's a blessing in disguise, right? Doesn't matter if you're religious, doesn't matter if you whatever, right? Doesn't matter if you believe that or whatnot, but you're alive, right? So if you are alive, what does that tell, right? What does that mean? I don't want to get too philosophical into things, but there's a chance that if you're alive, you get to still do something with your life, even if you don't feel up to it, even though, like I said, with the pandemic, it hurt, right? It hurt a lot of us. And with what was happening out there in the world, it just feels like the world is gonna collapse and all that stuff. Ooh, damnation, ooh, revelation, ooh, the apocalypse, and all that shit. Forget none of that, because we're still here, right? We're still here, and we're still alive, still kicking. And that's just one of the things we gotta really keep in mind, because the fact that we're still alive means we can still do something with our lives. And yes, for example, if you didn't contract the virus, that's good. That's good even. And if you got the vaccine, great. Totally. That's one preventive measure. Those kind of things, right? But if you had it and you still feel those symptoms, like my friend said, he still feels like he's coughing or whatever, right? And those kind of things. Like I said, if you're still alive, don't stop. Keep going, keep pushing, continue to do your best, those kind of things. That's very important, right? And also, sometimes, when things roll around, right? Like I said, COVID lasted for like 2.5 years, right? And maybe sometimes we don't feel up to life just because we think it's, we got that little bit of fear in us, right? Got that little bit of fear. And, if someone says that that's stupid, it ain't, right? It isn't stupid to have to fear those kind of things, right? Because COVID is real, right? COVID is real. It was happening to different people. It didn't have, even if it didn't happen to you, right? It sure did happen to other people, right? So if you don't feel up to it, right? Again, with the world healing and all that stuff, yeah, it seems as though it's not, right? Still violence and all that stuff, but like I said before, we're still alive and we're still kicking. And that is so dang important to keep that in mind. I think that's the best bit of advice that I could give you if you really don't feel up to it. You are alive, you're kicking, you're breathing, and you're still moving, right? There's still something in life that you get to do, right? And like I said before, it is totally your choice what you want to do with your life. You want to do something with it. You want to, find a new hobby, find a new job, find other people. You realize that people are important, right? Because, like I said, when you're in quarantine, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to anybody, right? And so just having that in mind, you gotta care for your life, honestly. And like I said, pandemic hurts for all of us. And then, you know if you feel that didn't work, um you gotta wonder, for example, like when it started, right? Where do we get that energy to want to keep going, right? Where do we get that? Where do we get that energy, like, I want to be alive, I want to stay alive, right? And some people even ask me, Mr. T, why is it that when the pandemic first started, why was it, why were we pushing so far to get past it? And once it's passed, um, it feels different, right? Well, first off, because we all changed, right? We all changed. And some people feel like, I don't want to be near other people. Some people want to go back to that, right? And we feel that, right? But I think, what I feel most of all we learn from all this is that we learn to be informed, right? Learn to be informed, listen to the right people, take into what's happening, right? And like I said before, we want to stay alive, we want to keep going with that, but we also want to know what's best for our lives, right? And what I think, um if, again, you don't feel up to it, if you don't feel that you got through the pandemic, um sound and all that, mind, sound of mind, sound of heart, um think again about your life. Think again about where you want to go from there, right? you I learned something also from when I did when we gone through the pandemic. I realized in my life there was more to things. I will tell you guys right now, I was a nerd. I was literally focused so much on my academics. Like, I'm gonna admit this, I'm not an ego trip or whatever, but I can say that I am smart. But I can say that I learned more from the pandemic than anywhere else. Just because I knew from then on what was gonna be most important in my life. In fact, it's one of the reasons, like I said, why I wanted to do this, why I wanted to do Convos, why I wanted to do TimTalks, the main blog on the channel. Why I wanted to do that is because I learned that there's more people in the world, there's more important things in the world, and that's us, that's us, we as a people, right? That, I feel, is what hit me hard. And that's what I feel kept me going to want to stay alive, but also, to want to actually, once I get past the pandemic, to do what I love. You guys probably feel that, right? You want to get back to doing what you love in the world, right? And yes, it's gonna come back slowly, one at a time, until eventually we roll with it, and then we can get past it every single time, right? Like I said, humans are pretty tough. We're pretty damn tough, that's for sure, right? So we keep going, right? So, again, to that person out there in the world, who sent me this, again, you're anonymous for this point forward, but I don't want to go too much into who you are out there in the world. But this can also apply to anyone else who feels the same about the pandemic, who feels that it took away so much, took away family members, friends, or just people in general, right? Think about that, right? Why would you care for another person whom you don't know who has died, right? That's the thing about humans, is that we persist because we care. We love each other, right? That's real. Love each other, because otherwise you wouldn't want to see the death counter, right? You don't want to see the death counter go up. You don't want to see the infected counter go up, right? We feel that we do care for each other, right? We're all in this together. Pandemic taught us that a lot, right? Especially when it first started, right? So we learned that we do care, we do love each other, right? Very much. And next bit, if you feel that you're not up to it with the pandemic being over, like I said, you are still alive. Not only did you learn to care for one another, you learn to love yourself, right? Because I feel as though, if you don't feel, think about it, love yourself, right? Most of all, that say, hey, even if I don't feel it at that moment, maybe it ain't the pandemic, maybe it's because there's something that I gotta change in my life, right? And for many in the pandemic, it made people think about what's happening, right? It made people think of what it is that they want to do with their lives, right? Most especially. And like I said, guys, we're nearing the end of the pandemic. And like I said, the United States is ending its emergency in May. But for any of you guys out there, I think most likely the countries are going to follow suit, because the US was kind of sort of the leader in what was going on, right? US and the UK, in terms of what's going on with the pandemic, right? And then everyone followed suit afterwards, right? Just saying. Um, but now that it's ending, sometimes you just gotta think, right? If you don't feel it, why is that? After all of that stuff, why do we still not feel it? Because again, you gotta remember, there's other people in the world we care about. We care about ourselves. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, right? And then most importantly, at the end, what is it that you want to do with your life? What is it that you want to pursue? What is it that you want to do in general, right? So, um, sometimes it's not the feeling that we don't feel up to it. It's more of like, how do I want to feel better, right? How do I want to feel good? How do I want to feel that I'm going somewhere, right? And those kind of things. And sometimes it's not even uh the pandemic's fault in that. Sometimes it made us really think, right? So now that you guys know that the pandemic will be declared officially, the emergency will be over, what do you guys want to do in your life, right? So, to that person out there, like I said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you again as well for sending this over to me. It took a lot of guts, took a lot of balls to actually just um comment there. And even though, like I said, I can see the name here, you ain't gonna be mentioned over here, right? Um, but I know that you may feel bad. I know that the pandemic really hurt, as it hurt all of us, right? But I can't wait to see where your life goes, because if you type this, that means you're still alive, right? That means you're still kicking. That means you just need help, right? And this is my advice to you: is to keep going, keep pushing, do what you want to do what you love and care for other people as much as you cared about yourself after this pandemic, right? um I saw this trend before, just to break the ice. I saw this trend where it happens like every 100 years, right? So the likelihood of it ever really happening again is, very minimal. It's not going to be during our lifetime. By then we get to, enjoy what we wanted to do in our life. And we're not saying that it's going to happen in the next 100 years. We don't want it to happen. Just knock on wood. But you do have a life to look forward to, just like all of you guys out there. You got a life to look forward to. And the pandemic was just the biggest challenge you could ever think about in your life, right? This virus was literally life or death, right? But the fact that you were able to take the necessary actions, push through, get the measures, get the vaccine or whatever measures you did, I don't really mind, I don't really care, as long as you're safe. And then make it through life, and make it through this, the biggest event that happened in the world since World War II and all that stuff, right? So you made it. You made it through, and look forward to life, because it is so surprising. I will guarantee you that. I will guarantee you, guys and girls out there in the world, that this pandemic ends. It's gonna end, and now it's gonna be a start for all of us. Like I said before, it feels good to have actually made it. And couldn't believe it when one last bit before we end off this episode. So I felt so good when I actually stepped up to this center. It was, I believe, like 2021, going into 2022, and then I think it was like June or July. Don't call me out, guys. I really can't remember, but like June or July 2021. The first vaccines were there. I think it was Pfizer and Moderna. Everyone else was following suit. Like I said before, guys, I'm not condoning in regards to the vaccine. It's totally your choice as to what you want to do. But I'm just saying that was what we wanted to do to be safe. So again, please respect the opinions there, as I respect yours, right? Back to what I was saying. What with I think we took Moderna. I think it was because that was only in supply. But better that than having no protection, you know. So we approached this center. It was called the multi-purpose center. It's literally, it can literally be a place where you can do plays, but then they changed it to a vaccine center. So that was pretty cool. And so when we went in, my family and I, we were all really nervous. Like my mom was really scared. And I'm not gonna lie, so was I, right? But you know, being the guy, I had to brave it out, right? For her, for the rest of the family, right? And you know, just reassure that everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna be cool. We're gonna be chill. And then we're gonna approach the vaccine, approach the counters, take the vaccine, and see where it goes from there, right? You know, at least whatever happens, we did it. We did what we had to do, right? We did the right thing. So then when we got the vaccine, we waited in this corner for about 15 to 20 minutes because they had to see the effects of the vaccine, right? And then we were just waiting there. It was really awkward. I remember her asking me, how are you? She was next to me. We were sitting alongside each other. It was myself, my mom, and then you have Miss Audacity, my sis. And then we were next to each other and we were wondering like what's happening, right? What was going on? What were we gonna how are you feeling, right? As you know, there was these things with the symptoms. And I think many of us have felt it with the vaccine because it was totally new. If you guys don't know, the vaccine is mRNA, which is basically a way that it can change your DNA so that it knows how to combat the virus. That's it in a nutshell. But then 15 minutes roll by. I think 30 minutes for my mom just because of something. I don't know what kind of condition it was or what. I can't really remember. But anyways, when we went out of the center, you know, it felt good. It felt so good to actually have something that can actually beat this thing, beat the damn virus, right? And it felt so good. And I know that from that point on, many of us can start thinking about what do we want to do with the future, because we can make a vaccine right at that moment, just like when 2021 hit, right? 1 year even, right? Where do we go from there? And that's my advice to you guys out there in the world who feel that they don't know what to do after the end of the pandemic, because you're still alive and you still push through. And like I did there, you know, I pushed through, I got my degree. I'm over here in the Big Apple, and then because of what the pandemic has shown me, it made me want to do this, made me want to do this. You know, maybe want to talk to you guys out there. You may not see me in my face, but you guys see me blogging, you guys see me doing podcasts, you guys see me do all these things just to try and reach out to those who feel the want to have a voice, who want to feel something that someone can help them, right? And then here we are, right? So again, for anyone who is out there who feels that life's going nowhere after the pandemic, who feels that they don't have a feeling at all, touch yourself, right? You can feel yourself, there you go. Touch yourself. And if you can feel yourself, if you can even feel what you're feeling, right? You have a chance, right? Touch your hands, touch your arms, like what I'm doing right now. Touch your body and say, you know, this body is still alive. This body is still kicking. What am I going to do with that? Where do I go from there, right? That's our choice. And ultimately, life is going to go where we want it to if we want it, right? Life will only go where you want it because the life that you have is yours. No one can tell you otherwise. No one can tell you what. And the pandemic has shown that, you know, it tried to take away your life, but you're still here. So I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do out there. You know, again, feel free to comment what you're doing in your life right now. And just say, you know, I made it. Tell your future children, tell your friends, I made it through this pandemic. I made it through this shit, right? And, you know, I learned that I'm not alone out there and all that. That's what I love about this gen. Not just the people who are here, not just the people who are the new gen, but also every gen, is that it's life, right? It's life that we gotta care about, right? It's life and death, you know, those kind of things, right? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what age, what race, what ethnicity, what orientation, right? Life is life. And to know that we made it all through this together, you know, that is already a trophy in and of itself, right? Because you get to tell the next gen, we went through this, we made it through, right? Because this world, if not, right, the world cannot be where it is today if not for the fact that we work together. Let's be real, that happened, right? So again, if you don't feel up to it, feel yourself. If you can feel yourself right now, you're still alive, push through and show the world what you got, right? We're all in this together and we'll push through together. That's true, right? So, just to end this off, I want to play this little soundtrack that I feel that could end off this podcast for today, this episode for today, just because, I wanted to insert this because I feel it. Don't worry, it's not copyrighted, so it's gonna respect that rule. I know how YouTube is. I know how it works. So let's just go ahead and tune into this, and then let's wrap it up. All right, and that wraps it up for this episode of Convos over here at TimTalks. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this episode was a little bit more serious than other episodes, and it's totally cool. Like I said before, I know that sometimes we're gonna get in depth with things. Some are gonna sound really silly, some are gonna sound really serious, right? But it is what it is. You guys sent me this, and this one here, I hope it really helped you guys out there to know that you're not alone in all this, and that I feel you guys, I hear you guys. You let me know what you feel, and I will respect that, respect your identity. I respect all of you out there, your choices, your opinions, and all that stuff. I'm just here to guide you, but it's ultimately comes down to you, right? It comes down to what you want, and that's ultimately what we do over here at Convos. The truth, right? Make the truth heard, make the truth known, and make it for you guys to want to hear and to be able to share to other people. That's what's real, and that's what's up, right? So with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please let me know what you guys think. Feel free to DM me, comment down below if you guys have any thoughts, if you guys have any opinions, anything you want to touch base on, for me to touch base on, and we'll hopefully see in the next episode or in future episodes. You guys, I do read. If you guys don't see me in the comments, I do read what's going on, and I'll feel you guys, I'll hear you guys, and I'll tune in, and I'll let you guys know what I think, and who knows, maybe you might inspire me to do the next episode, right? It might inspire me, because I ain't stopping. I ain't gonna stop, and I'm gonna keep going, and you guys are gonna join hopefully with me along the way, right? For any of you guys who are tuning in right now, so you guys have been an awesome audience. If you guys have been an awesome, you guys have just been awesome. I totally butchered that, but anyway, like I said, I don't edit anything here. This one makes it real, right? Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please share, sub, much love, and I'll see you at the next episode. Feel free to let me know of anything, what I should do next, and I'll see you next time. We are going offline now over here at NYC. This is Mr. T signing off. Thank you so much. Much love. And we'll see you at the next episode. Peace.